Hey guys, welcome back to another Spy Family Sunday. I'm here to review chapter 86 of the manga. Now, this chapter is a bit long, longer than we're used to from Endo Sensei. So let's just go ahead and dive into the chapter. Remember, if you're new to the channel and you're liking the content here, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. So the chapter starts off with basically Wheeler getting his clock cleaned by Fiona. She looks like she's about to go in for the finishing blow when, surprise, Lloyd is actually conscious. He wakes up and he's like, stop, we don't have to kill him, and he's ripping off his mask. Fiona is surprised by this. She's like, you're all right. They tie him up, they blindfold him, and Lloyd says, despite it being dangerous to keep Wheeler alive, he possesses a lot of intel. We can use him as a good bargaining chip. Fiona agrees, and she's surprised that Wheeler was a man that was capable of taking Lloyd down. Then it suddenly becomes apparent to her. She's like, oh my god, how long has he been awake? Did he hear everything that I said to Wheeler? She starts to freak out. No, he couldn't have heard me. He couldn't have heard me. If he did, oh my god, I'm gonna have to kill him. No, wait, what am I gonna do? Lloyd is looking at Fiona and he's like, what is going on? She's furious with me. She's flushing red with rage. Obviously, Lloyd has no idea what's going on with Fiona, but he does agree that what you said to me earlier is true. I may be starting to lose my edge. Of course, Fiona's agreeing with everything he has to say in her mind. She's like, that wound you have on your arm, did you get that from Wheeler? He says, no, Yuri was the one that was down here earlier and we fought and that's how I got wounded. Fiona's questioning him, why didn't you just finish him off? Lloyd goes on to explain Yor's condition for marrying me was to put her brother's mind at ease. So if anything were to happen to Yuri, Yor's gonna lose any motivation within this marriage, and then Operation Strix would be in danger. Fiona sort of gives him a thoughtful look. She's thinking, oh, the moment you refer to her as Yor was the moment I knew I was only going to get an official explanation. Fiona is aware that Lloyd is trying to keep all of this very professional. Officially. Fiona is an intelligent woman. She understands that Lloyd has been compromised, that he's clearly starting to see Yor as more than just something that accompanies this mission. Whether he's developing feelings for her slowly, but he's aware that Yor and Yuri essentially are weaknesses within Operation Strix, and Anya. The wheels are starting to spin for Fiona. So they're sitting there in the sewer with Wheeler tied up. Lloyd is like, we need to get out of here. And then Agent Mustache, aka Gascoigne, comes up behind them and he's like, this is no time for a coffee break. Like, what are you guys doing? We got to get the hell out of here. Lloyd's like, oh, thank God you're here. Can you carry Wheeler? He's kind of heavy. Lloyd is like, yoink. He throws Fiona over his shoulder. And of course, Fiona is like freaking out in her mind. She's blushing. She's like, hey, you don't have to carry me. Like, I'll be fine. But of course, she loves every moment of this. Lloyd's like, it's fine. I'll carry you. You're not going to be able to run that fast. They'll be able to catch you for sure. And so they're getting out of the sewer. There's a panel of two cars. So it looks like they're transferring Wheeler's body somewhere else. Lloyd, Fiona, and Agent Mustache proceed to try to leave this country on their own. And so they're all in the car, and luckily there was a checkpoint where they could leave Wheeler's body and they could try to find their way back to Berlin. Lloyd is like, at any rate, catching Wheeler, we succeeded in protecting the intelligence that he holds. But then Agent Mustache is like, well, that's true, but remember a few chapters ago, Yuri's big boss, he was the one that discovered the mole that was in the SSS. Another agent that's driving with them in the car is saying, even when we win, we lose. Agent Mustache is like, yeah, but all's well that ends well. And he tells Lloyd, he's like, hey, when we get back, you and me are gonna get a drink. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, no, I have to get home. I've been away from my family for too long. Everybody in the car is like, man, it's family with you. And Agent Mustache is like, are you and your wife fighting right now? Of course, Fiona's like, what's this about fighting? In her mind, she's like, oh, this is a golden opportunity. Lloyd is like, I wouldn't necessarily say that we're fighting. It's just I'm having trouble reading her feelings. Of course, Fiona's like, oh, it sounds like Operation Strix is in danger. I'll accompany you, and we'll get to the bottom of this, Twilight. And he's like, no, I'm fine. You need to go to the hospital, and I'll see you later. But Agent Mustache is like, yeah, when it comes to marital things, we should just stay the hell out of it. Fiona is sent home. Lloyd is walking up to his building, and it's this really beautiful panel of their building happening at night, and it's actually one of my favorite panels in the chapter. It adds a level of realism to the world for me. And so he's coming up to the building and he's like, man, it feels like it's been forever since I've been home. He's walking up the steps and he's thinking about how he's going to broach the topic of what they were discussing before he left on the mission. And he's like, if I hadn't have captured Wheeler, I wouldn't have even been able to come home. So he's imagining that Yor is going to be mad at him. And as soon as he opens the door, Yor's like, hey, welcome home, Lloyd. You know, you look exhausted. For some reason, he loses all of his energy and he falls to the ground. And he's like, damn it, Twilight, you're really losing your edge. You know, Yor's like, oh, what happened to your face? You know, and he makes up an emergency at work, and a pro wrestler refused to get his shots, and just a very thin excuse. And he asks if Anya's okay, and, you know, she had fun at the zoo and she's tuckered out. And so they get straight into the conversation. You know, Yor confesses that she was looking for issues. She was like, I made up the gripes so things would seem more normal between us. It happened because I was talking with the girls from work, and of course Lloyd is just exhausted and confused by the whole thing. He's like, I can't move, I don't have any energy. And he's like, I do have a request. Can you help out with some of the chores around the house for the next couple days? Yor is happy to do this. She wants to be of use to Lloyd. She wants to help out with the family. She tells them that I really wanted to have gripes, but to be able to actually help you a little bit, to have you rely on me is what's gonna make me happy. Whenever you need something from me, you know, just ask and I'd be happy to do this for you. You know, not that I'm a person that I think you can rely on. You know how Yor, she gets kind of gloomy about it. Of course, Lloyd is the one to brighten her spirits, and he's like, you know, thank you so much for telling me that, Yor. But in the back of Lloyd's mind, he's thinking that he has finally become aware of his own weakness, particularly when he was looking into the eyes of Wheeler. He recognizes that he lives in a world in which only the perfect survive. But then he's interrupted from his own thoughts. Of course, Yuri comes over and he's like, Yor, you have to hear this. And of course, Yor's like, you're hurt. What's going on with everybody today? And Yuri makes up an excuse as to why he's hurt. Twilight is telling Yuri why he's hurt, and he volunteers to make them some tea, and he notices that Lloyd's arm is kind of hurt. In Yuri's mind, he's like, wait a minute, hold on, this is the same arm that I shot. I injured Twilight. And so he's putting the pieces together. He's like, no way. There's no way this can be the guy. And so Yuri just rushes across the kitchen, grabs Lloyd's arm, and is just looking for the bullet wound. He doesn't see it, and he backs off, and he's like, Twilight turned into Wheeler. He can turn into anybody. There's no way he would make a simple mistake like that. And of course, Yor's like, Yuri, what are you doing? He makes up an excuse telling Yor, you should always have your sleeves rolled up. That way it doesn't catch on fire. Yor's like, you know what? You're tired. You're injured. You should go home and get some rest. You know, she basically pushes him out the door and suggests that Lloyd takes a shower and relaxes. While Lloyd is in the shower, you can see that he dressed the wound with some fake skin. It's brilliant. Of course he's gonna dress the wound. He can't leave anything to chance, and I'm glad that we got to see that. And so he's thinking to himself in the shower, he's like, pull yourself together, Twilight. You know, you're getting sloppy. Be on guard. He's trying to snap himself back into reality. And so after he gets out of the shower, he smells that something's burning, and he's like, oh my god, no, did Yuri come back? Is he on to us? And the final panel of the chapter is just, oh, poor Yor. She's trying to iron some of his clothes for the next day, and they caught fire, and she's like, I'm so sorry, Lloyd, like I was just trying to help you out, but I'll put the fire out. You know, you just get like this deadpan shot of Lloyd, and he's just like, I think his mind at this point is just gone, and that's how the chapter ends. So excellent chapter. Oh my god, so much stuff happened. It feels like a good conclusion for the arc. Don't get another chapter until September 3rd. I enjoyed this chapter. A lot of character development for Fiona, Lloyd, Yuri, Yor. I thought the pacing was great, and I think it all wrapped up in a nice little neat bow. Now, as far as predictions, I think Endo Sensei, I mean, he could go anywhere with this, especially now that Lloyd is really contemplating what is going on with his focus. I really want to know what the rest of his internal thoughts were, because he was thinking of Yor in this moment of vulnerability, and acknowledging his weaknesses. And so I'm not sure if he was going to say, which is why I need to excuse myself from the mission, or which is why I may be developing feelings for you. I don't know what his internal thoughts were, but I really hope that we follow this. I hope the next couple chapters are just Lloyd to himself, doing small missions, thinking about Anya, thinking about Yor, maybe going to Handler and being like, hey, this is happening. What do we need to do? I mean, would Lloyd actually do that? Would Lloyd go to Handler and be like, hey, I need to be excused from this mission. I am compromised. Would he do that for Operation Strix? Or do you think Lloyd is just too far gone with Yor and Anya? Do you think he would unknowingly or knowingly put Operation Strix in danger if it meant that he wouldn't have to walk away from Anya and Yor? Those are the only things that I can think of. Is it the operation, or is it Yor and Anya and this family that I have created? Because he ended up, let's not forget, he ended up agreeing with Fiona. He told her straight up, you're right. I think I'm losing my edge. And again, Fiona is on the outside looking in, and it's very obvious to her that these feelings, whether or not Lloyd has realized them or not, these feelings that he has for Yor and Anya are very real. I mean, is this a conversation that Fiona and Twilight are gonna have? Maybe. I mean, that would be interesting if they're on another mission together and they discuss these things again. I don't know. I mean, I know Fiona obviously is in love with Lloyd. We all know that. But it also seems like she's willing to talk to Lloyd about these things that he's going through. So, there's a lot of potential. So, yeah. Those are my thoughts on chapter 86. I hope you guys enjoyed listening. And until next time, remember to be awesome and stay true.